Hi, this is Brian at Leland Smith with the fourth quarter 2020 update. And remember, at Leland Smith, we try to reach client goals with the least amount of risk possible. Well, this video is on perspective, and perspective is a large part of reducing behavior risk, which is one of the largest risks in investing. And perspective can be broken down into two camps. It can be short-term perspective, which tends to pay attention to pitfalls and noise, as we call it in the investment world. And then there's long-term perspective. Long-term perspective helps us see past those pitfalls and that short-term noise, and it can be the difference between success and failure. And right now, the noise is deafening. So consider some of the following. We are in the middle of a global pandemic and a race for a vaccine. We've seen unprecedented government stimulus packages. We've lived through the fastest bear market on history. We've also lived through the fastest recovery on history. We've also been a part of the largest and unprecedented Federal Reserve, i.e. central bank stimulus packages to help the economy stay afloat. And then lastly, in a month or two down the road, we have a presidential election. So how do you keep the proper perspective? How do you keep that long-term perspective in an environment like this? Well, we have a three-pronged approach. The first one is to understand that over the long term, markets generally go up. Now, that does not mean there won't be bear markets, crashes, corrections. There will be. The point is to understand this and to expect bear markets, corrections, crashes along the way. When we expect that, we won't overreact, which is one of the main issues with poor investor behavior. Second aspect to understand as to why markets generally go up over the long term, it's because of inflation. Now, the reasons why there is inflation, which is the general rise in prices, is a little bit beyond the scope of this video. But understand that it's related to money supply, and that general increase in prices is a mandate of our Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve has a 2% mandate, which we are below right now. Our inflation is lower than 2% as we record this. So they are motivated to create some inflation right now. And now that you know that, we can look, say, 10 years out in the future and ask ourselves, is this particular investment, maybe it's a stock you have, will this particular stock be worth more 10 years from now than it is today? If the answer is yes, well then you've created conviction, and you can stick to the long-term perspective just by looking at it that way. The second main item that we want to relay is that our investment strategy is based on creating conviction, and that conviction helps us stay invested during the tough times. Look, there are many different investment strategies. All of them work some of the time, none of them work all of the time. We use fundamental, repeatable, and proven investment strategies, and we combine those that complement each other. So not only do we diversify strategies as well. And this approach creates conviction in our investments, and that conviction inherently guides us towards a long-term perspective. That may be curative in and of itself. The last item here is to have a financial plan. And we cannot emphasize this one enough. If you do not have a plan, a financial plan, or any plan for any goal that you have, the odds of your succeeding go down dramatically. And this is where your financial advisor can really help. Your advisor can help you identify your goals, your true goals, get those goals on paper, create a plan around those goals. And lastly, your advisor can coach you through these ups and downs and these tough times in the market where you need to keep perspective. So if you roll them all together, keeping that long-term perspective of knowing that markets generally rise, the reasons why, having convictions in your investments, and then having a financial plan solve the issue of keeping the long-term perspective, and it thereby reduces behavior risk. All right, that's it for the fourth quarter. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for our next video, and remember, at Leland Smith, we try to reach client goals with the least amount of risk possible.